Adeolu couldn't sleep. He anxiously rose from his bed and finding a servant, sent for the wizard and the baker. The baker arrived first. "It's ready, Your Majesty," he said. Adeolu followed him. It was the best representation of the precious things, but for lack of shine, anyone seeing them from a distance would mistaking them for the original items. "You've done very well," Adeolu said. "Your Majesty," the baker bowed low. "You will bring them to my royal chambers on a royal platter." He walked away from the kitchen with his hands folded behind him. Abirifa was waiting for him in his chambers. "It's almost time, Your Majesty," the wizard said. "How long?" "About 4 hours. Let's hope this day does not end in shame and the end of a dynasty." "Let's hope," the wizard replied. "Do you have a plan?" "None." "What about the soldier?" "No one has seen the boy." The baker came in with the royal platter. "Thank you, baker. You can take your leave now." "Don't even think of it, Your Majesty. Don't tell me you plan to wear a crown of cake and icing sugar for the coronation," Abirifa said as soon as the baker was out of earshot. "Why not?" Adeolu looked at him. "It's deception, and the priests won't have it. I am a good king, wizard. I run the risk of losing my throne, my people, and my forefathers' dynasty to a crooked and sly evil jackal who does not care about the people. He is out there ready to use every trick and deception to destroy our people. I will also use every trick I know of to protect the people. It's better to lose honorably, my king," the wizard whispered. "I will, when it's time, if it's fate." The prince and the wizard looked at each other in silence. "So how do you plan to do this?" Abirifa asked. "We will call off the guards at the vault. Everyone will know something is wrong at the vault. Maybe they will. I'm assuming the jackal already knows the crown is missing. If not, people will think the precious things are being moved to the coronation hall for the ceremony. So there is no need for guards at the vault." "I see," the wizard said. "At any rate, whoever is behind this would think his plans have not yet been uncovered. So you want the pastries moved to the vault in the absence of the guards?" "Exactly. Let me start working on that." The wizard got up. "As soon as you are through, come back here. Let's see what your magic spells can do." "Your Majesty." Abirifa disappeared in a puff of smoke and soon returned. Araba and the other guards have been reassigned to the carriage that will bear the precious things to the coronation hall. The world is awakening. It's morning. Take the pastries to the carriage." Abirifa brought out a wand and bang! The pastries disappeared to the prince's astonishment. "Now we need to talk to our most trusted priests and judges," Adeolu said. "And commanders of the armies?" the wizard asked. "Yes, come with the commanders of the armies." Throughout the ceremony, Adeolu did not hear one single speech. His mind was on the ordeal at hand. Was the jackal behind this? Was he aware? When would he make his move? How should he, the prince, respond? He watched a priest drove on and on. Abirifa approached him. "The carriage had been attacked, Your Majesty," he whispered in his ear. "When?" "Just now." "That's a good sign." "It is?" the wizard replied. "What about the guards?" the prince asked. "They let it happen like I instructed them. None were injured, I hope." "No, Your Majesty. Not a single one was injured. They are experienced," Abirifa replied. "What is the problem?" the prince asked when he noticed the hesitancy in the wizard. "The pastries were not attacked." "That's not the problem at this point," Adeolu assured him. "It's not a problem?" "No, it's not," Adeolu said. "Are you sure they were the jackal's men?" "We were positive. The carriage was attacked by the jackal and his men. Most importantly, the baker's boy has surfaced. He is in the palace right now." "So the jackal does not have the precious things. Neither was he behind the theft." "We have a thief and a traitor in the palace." "A thief in the palace, a traitor in the country," Adeolu muttered. "And possibly disgraced on a coronation day." the wizard whispered so that Adeolu looked up at him sharply. "We have guests," the wizard answered his unasked question. There was a sudden unrest outside the hall, and a murmur ran through the crowd. "Is the hall secured? The jackal would be stupid to attack us in this hall." "Yet the jackal stands right outside the hall," Adeolu said. Abirifa beckoned on a soldier and whispered with him for a second. The priest, seemingly oblivious of the commotion, droned on and on. "The jackal demands an invite to the ceremony." "Grant him, Your Majesty," the wizard cried. "We must not. He's not an immediate threat. He doesn't have the precious things." "Neither do you, Your Majesty," the wizard replied. "And let's not forget, he has an army with him." "Will he leave without force?" Adeolu asked. "No, I don't think so. So it's best we let him in. Nevertheless, be prepared," the prince told him. "As you wish." Abirifa walked away to allow the bare-chested, furry villain waiting outside the halls. "We will now present the royal crown and scepter before the people and the elders of Orimolade," the elderly priest said slowly. Liveried servants, accompanied by warriors, carried in a large golden tray on which was laid velvet cushions embroidered with silver and gold and precious stones. On the cushions sat the crown and the scepter of the kings of Orimolade. The people were awed by the beauty of these precious things. Having witnessed this day, the solemn presentation of the royal crown and scepter of the kings of Orimolade, I now summon the young Prince Adeolu as I crown him today as the reigning king of... "I object," roared the jackal as he marched forward to the stage. There was a dead silence in the hall. Adeolu was tense. Abirifa motioned and 49 of the best warriors of Orimolade surrounded the prince to protect him, and over 500 soldiers stood outside the halls with drawn-out weapons, ready to charge in and protect the dignitaries. "I object," roared the jackal once more as he climbed the podium. The people gasped at the appearance of the very furry, bare-chested rogue in a loincloth made of animal skin, his eyes burned with hatred and tricks. "What do you object to?" the aged priest asked. "You will not crown this thing." He pointed a claw in disdain at Adeolu. "Why ever not? No king in Orimolade have ever been crowned without the ancient royal crown and scepter of our ancestors," the jackal cried loud enough for the audience to hear. "This little impostor does not have these precious things. How then can he be crowned?" "I object to this man's manner and speech." A judge rose up and walked majestically to the podium. "This man's manner is unbecoming, and his speech is an accusation against the prince and the throne." "My manner is none of your business, lawyer, and my speech is born of truth, you twit." The audience burst into laughter at the insult to the judge, who bore it calmly. "If you have an allegation to the proof against the prince and the throne, go ahead and prove it. But remember," the judge said loud enough for the audience to hear, "if your allegations against the throne be false, you will be justly executed for treason. I hereby prove my allegations against the throne before all these people and your elders. The crown presented by the priests before the elders and the people is fake." At this, the audience murmured. "Proof that is fake, you nitwits," the judge roared. But this time, over 50 judges had joined him on the podium. "This crown," the jackal howled, pointing a gnarled claw at the cushions on the golden tray, "is made of nothing but sugar and dough," he finished in a growl. "Prove it," cried the judges. "I prove it," he cried, and before anyone could stop him, He snatched at the crown and bit into it. The audience gasped. You see, this is nothing but worthless cake, the jackal shouted in between mouthfuls of crunchy sugar. Do you want to crown your king in this? The people watched him devour the cake and looked towards Adeolu sadly. The jackal snatched the scepter and dashed it to pieces on the floor of the hall. Lies and deceptions, he cried. I am your rightful king. I saved you from this dishonest little monkey nut you call a prince. You will crown me in his place. He does not have the precious things, and I do. Abirifa collapsed in a chair beside the prince, and his heart ran completely mad, eventually running out of the hall. No one bothered with it. The prince showed no sign of what he might be thinking. We failed, your majesty. We failed, the wizard muttered. You are silent, the jackal glared down at the judges. Apologize to me and change the guards. We will do nothing of such, the judges said firmly. You will apologize. You doubted me. We will do nothing of such. It's our job and our duty to doubt every accusation and allegations till they are proved true in a court of law. You will change the guard, for so I command you. You are not yet king. You will issue no commands until you are crowned one. In order not to waste our time, I call on the jackal to present the precious things he has, that this coronation ceremony may not prove in vain for the people of Orimolade. Bring the sack, the jackal growled, and one of his soldiers stepped forward with a sack bag. To the amazement of everybody, the jackal slowly and majestically pulled out the crown and the scepter from the bag. Now crown me king, and order for a change of guards. The priest collected the crown and scepter from him and set them on the velvet cushions on the large golden tray. I thereby present this original crown and scepter representing the authorities of the ancient kings of Orimolade before the people and the elders of Orimolade. Prior to crowning the jackal king of Orimolade, if there be no objections, we'll go ahead with the coronation. The priest turned to look at Adeolu, who had his eyes fiercely locked onto that of the jackals. Since there be no other objections, I thereby crown the jackal. Not so soon, my lord. What now? The jackal said impatiently. Crown me now! The audience turned to watch the royal metal worker march out to the podium. That, he pointed, that crown is mine. What do you mean that the crown is yours? The jackal asked angrily. The prince had me make it during the night. He said it was for something, a joke on someone. I guess the joke is on the jackal. The judges brightened up. How do you know this crown is yours? I left a tiny mark on it. See that? He pointed at the mark. Apart from that, the royal jeweler is here. He can easily test to see the crown is made of gold painted brass. He did the painting. What? The jackal was confused and raging. That cannot be true. This is the original crown. I had it stolen from the vaults with the help of sacks. I've had them with me for 2 days, so don't tell me nonsense, you beanpot. May the royal jeweler step forward to witness this, the judge called, and the jeweler stepped forward. Do you attest to what the metal worker said? The judges asked him. Yes, I do testify that everything he said is true, the jeweler said. I can test the crown right here, right now, and you will see it's not made of gold, neither are there precious stones on it. If that's the case, then who has the royal precious things? The wizard was aghast. I have them here, my lord, the baker's boy said, quietly lifting up a duffel bag. At the prince's command, I had them stolen from the jackal very early this morning." "What?" roared the jackal. "What are you talking about, you bat? Present the royal things, boy." The judges bickered on him. From the duffel bag, the baker's boy brought out the golden crown and scepter. To the awe of the people, the difference between the jewel and the fake one was immediately apparent, and the audience burst into applause. Quickly, the two crowns and scepters were tested, and the baker's boy's own was found true, and Adeolu was crowned king. "Seize the jackal and his men," the judges cried, but the soldiers were too slow. With a snarl, the jackal bounded through the window, shouting threats at the baker boy as he escaped.